You're now listening to the 11:30 podcast. Enjoy the show.
Nasty, hateful, insane nation that exists.
Yeah, yo, I'm back at it, man. What it do, everybody? It's your man Dre, aka Dreonwheels. Y'all already know what it is, man. Welcome back, everyone, to the 11:30 podcast. What's goody, man? How everybody doing out there? It is Wednesday. I'm back at it for the podcast, man. I appreciate everyone tuning in this week, man. For real, before we get into everything, it's going to be a dope show. Story time is going to continue here. Got a great guest coming up. Before we get into everything, man, for real, if you're new to the podcast and if you haven't done so already, man, hit that subscribe button down below. Please, man, do me a favor. That'd be great. Leave a comment and tell me what you like about the episode, what you don't like about the episode. Share it, man, for real. All that great stuff. And don't forget to follow the 11:30 podcast on social media. But you guys, man, I'm back at it. Man, coming off a 3-month break. I'm a daddy now. Like I was telling my guy last week, my man Jimmy IV. Story time is definitely going to continue here on the podcast. I appreciate everyone tuning in last week. Thank you so much, and thank you, Jimmy, for coming on the podcast. Speaking of the podcast, man, this week it's gonna be dope, man. For real, got a lot to get into, but I got a dope guest that's gonna be joining me in a few. Yes, my guy JJ Moss. Man, I've been trying to get my guy on the podcast for some time, and man, we done worked it out. Me returning, so I was like, "Yo, you've been a big supporter of the 11:30 podcast, and I gotta return the support, man. Return the support. Just not only just listening to your podcast, my guy, but just having you here on the 11:30 podcast, man. For real, it's gonna be dope. Entrepreneur, creator out of Tennessee. He's the host of the Moss Talk podcast. He's gonna be joining me in just a bit, man. For real, that's gonna be dope. For real, that's gonna be dope. But you guys, man, yo, we're gonna get into everything, man. Story time is back. Yes, story time with Dre, and I'm gonna kind of like picked up where I left off last week at the end of the show. Is some of you guys were like, because I felt myself rushing through it, and I was just like, you know what, let me just take my time here, just in case people were just like, man, I just felt like he was just rushing through that. Okay, I had my son July 29th, and man, just ecstatic, man, through the roof. I was talking about how I melted when I heard his cry, and I held him, and I was just like, yo, man, this little man looked just like me. And I got pictures of me as a little baby, man, and boy, what a man. That's the TV making that auto sound? Where is it coming from? It's a speaker. Yeah, boy. Mhm. What's up? What's up? I can't wait to see you grow up. I can't wait to see you grow up. I was just thinking of that, and I'm just like, man, he looked literally just like me. And that's the first thing I said to my mom, and of course, everybody. It was like, man, you cannot deny this boy at all, even if you tried it. Like, for real, you can go on Mari if you want. You're going to look like a fool. But, man, yo, I was just super excited, man, and still am super excited that I'm a dad. And like I said, that was Friday, and stayed there throughout the whole, Friday and Saturday. I was like, yo, I'm gonna leave and go get myself together and stuff like that, and I'm gonna come back. But I was like, yo, instead of me coming back and stuff, because it was gonna be a little late, and after SummerSlam, I don't think I was gonna feel like coming actually back. But my son was there, so I was like, yo, man, I gotta go back. But I was like, yo, sis, April, you mind going up there? And she was like, sure, don't mind going up there. All right, bet. She went up there, and the next day, man, I woke up. I was like, bet, I'm ready. I'm about to get going, but my stomach is doing something strange, man. I'm like, I don't know what is going on. And I got this, egg allergy, man. If I eat eggs, man, my stomach will ball up in a knot, and I'll just be yeah, it'll be a whole lot. I'm not trying to disturb anybody already here on the podcast, but I wasn't feeling good. I was throwing up. My mother-in-law was taking care of me, and at the same time, me in the bed, everyone is trying to get the room together so my son can come home. They're putting up the bassinet, making room and everything, for him and stuff like that. And like I told mom-in-law, I'm just like, man, I just felt bad just laying there in the bed while you just, sort of clean up around me. But I was appreciative that, she took care of me. And the next day, Sunday, I'm like, all right, back. Didn't feel good. Didn't feel good all day. Maybe to probably like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. I was like, okay, maybe I feel a little bit better. Took some medicine, some Pepto Bismol and stuff like that. All right, so I'm like, all right, cool. All right, Monday hit. I'm on the way up to Howard. I'm on the way up to Howard, going to go see my son, going to go see because they about to come home because they've been up there for the weekend. And unbeknownst to me, I get a call from my mom, and she's like, "Yo, what's going on with CPS?" And we all know when CPS call and get involved, that's not good. That's not good at all. So my heart starts to racing, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" So I call uh my fiance. I call Britt. She, is all disturbed right now of what's going on, so she can't really talk. So called the mom, and the story was that there, uh, one of the nurses there called CBS, and they felt like my fiance wasn't able, or me wasn't able to care for this child. And I was like, well, how the hell they get that assumption? Was it because we in a wheelchair and stuff like that? And they was like, well, uh, her sister stayed the night, and I told you she came up there and she stayed the night with her. And it's- babe, she the patient. So if she hitting the call button on the joint, boop, 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 like come in there and come help me, regardless if her sister over there, she'll do whatever, her sister asks her to. But if she's pushing this button for, yo, I need some ice, or yo, can you come do this, or can you come help me with this or something like that, that's their job. You feel me? And it was said to, oh well, she had her sister in there and her sister didn't help her or something like that, and that I had left on what was it, that Saturday afternoon, and oh, we don't feel like they got support or whatever. I said, man, that's bullshit, bro. That I feel like that was totally bullshit. I felt like they made the assumption because at one point when uh they had, our son in her arms, and she was like, just go over and give her to his daddy. And I'm like, all right, yeah, hand me, please, hand it to me, and the doctor is kind of like looking at me funny, like, why are you looking at me funny? Like, really, why are you looking at me funny? And I just feel as though, I every day it's a challenge. Every day it's to me is an opportunity to prove, and I'm not, and it's really not to prove to anybody, but I want people to know that even though I have a disability and things may be challenging for me and my hands may not work like everybody else hands, like just give me the opportunity to try. You feel me? Don't as far as the doctor, don't stare at me, don't look at me up and down like what, like really what's going on. But and we get CPS come out, but they only come out, and this the thing that blew me. They only came out one time. Now the CPS getting called, to my knowledge, they coming out every week, every other week. So I'm pretty sure they did the investigation and they was like, yo, this lady made some type of assumption. And I was telling babe, like, it could be deeper than this, We a couple who've been together for about to be 10 years. We both have a disability. We had a child. It's women out here that can't have children. So you don't know what type of jealousiness that's behind that or whatever. Like the devil will try you. You feel me? And I was just having a conversation prior, what was a couple of days before she done had the baby with her mother-in-law, just about just everything, man. And I just feel as though, yo, that was the devil, man. I feel like that was the devil trying to, throw people off, man. If you ain't got your faith and you ain't high, with the Lord, man, and you ain't got your mind right, that will take you down. And especially, and I talked about it with a previous guest on, postpartum. Postpartum is big, and my fiance, try to um, talk to me when she did talk to me about it, and also keeping her spirits high and stuff like that, and not try to get down and stuff. So that did get her down for the moment. But I was telling her, look here, you great, you perfect, you the best mother, all that. Don't let nothing like that get you down. And I feel like, that was some bullshit. Like, for real. Do your fucking job. That's your job. If you sitting up in the hospital, regardless, and like I said, regardless whoever it is, if I'm in there and I'm pushing the button and my mother there or whoever there or whatever the case may be, no, you do your job. You do your job. And on the wall, it clear as day. Before I left on that Saturday, it said, you need water, you need ice, you need anything or whatever to that effect. Don't hesitate to call us. So me calling you and pushing the button too much because y'all in the other room laughing, probably doing TikToks, ain't really doing too much. You feel me? And now, we ain't got no, man. Come on, bro, do your job, bro. That's how I looked at it, man. And after that, I was just like, I always think of the positive and not the worst case scenario. And I'm just like, you know what, bro, like, look here, we all good. You just had this baby. We just had this baby. Man, he's straight, man. He's straight, man. And on from that, bro, just every single day. And I remember it was like I was so, I was so antsy to change them. I'm like, okay, I ain't never did this before. I don't remember when I was little changing any baby diapers. You feel me? My fiance, she said she was with it. But I'm like, all right, let's try it. And I'm putting this joint upside down. Sister's like, oh, you got it upside down. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I never forget one morning where I'm just knocked out. My fiance, she with him. She just excited to be a mom, and that's awesome. That I love it. I love the excitement. I see on her face, and she was changing them. And boy, oh boy, they say, man, a golden shower or more that's gonna come out, and he shit it so like, oh man, and she yelled so loud that I jumped out my sleep, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And I looked at her, and then I was like, oh wow. Okay. Oh wow. Yeah, man. My man is the man though, for real. He growing so fast. He 2 months old, but the late nights, man. Late nights, just trying to get up. Obviously, being a newborn at that time, and you got to feed him every 3 months or so, like that. And man, it was an adjustment. Like I said, that to my guy Jimmy last week, that was my time, to just late at night or whatever. But now I'm a parent, and all that gotta go out the way and stuff. So I gotta get up and make those bottles, burp them, and do whatever I gotta do, man, for real. And it's a joyfulness. I gave him his first. I gave him his bath. He was over my house, and I gave him his first bath. And I was like, yo, this is joyfulness. He was just sitting there like he was just in it. He was just like cooling for real. And right after that, he went to sleep though. He stopped crying though after that though. He feisty. If he don't get his milk right there, man, woo. Hey, you better have my man. You better have my man stuff together though. But yo, man, like I told Jimmy last week, that me being a dad is everything, man. It's everything. Um, I just wanna just give him the world. I had everything. I didn't grow up poor. I didn't grow up, in a different type of, environment and stuff like that. But I want to give my man bigger and better things where I can show him like, yo, you know, because of my situation and trying to go out and find a job, man. I worked at the movie theater, and it was just like right after that, and I was telling the story trying to find a job, and it was just like, man, you know, won't get no jobs. You got to create something for yourself in this day and age, man. It's so many opportunities out here, man. So many opportunities. And I saw myself doing this way before I was doing this. You feel me? Coming up on the 3 year anniversary this December. Yes, this December. I'm excited for that, man. It's just is amazing, bro. Like I want to create opportunities for him where at a certain time where I was growing up, and in that time it wasn't that many opportunities. The most opportunity was like get up, go get a job, and that's how you can survive. And with social media and everything so in advance, and it's just like whew, and without stuff like this that I want to do, you gotta go to college, pay for, but whatever. Like you can create something and build something from the ground up. And like me doing this podcast is just not just for me no more. It's for the future in case my son want to take over and be an editor or whatever the case he want to be, man, for real. Or if he want to be a chef like his mama. But man, yo, I love my man, man. I love him. I love him, man. For real, yo, that is story time right there. With Dre, man, for real, being a dad, more story time coming up, man, for real. You don't want to miss it. I got a dope guest that's joining me this week here on the 11:30 podcast. My guy, JJ Moss, the host of the Moss Talk podcast, man, is going to be joining me in a few. But before we get to that, you guys, yo, you know what time it is, man. You know it's time for the WTF moment of the week, you guys. Yo, man, this was crazy, man. Like people ain't got no life. And this is kind of like what I'm gonna get into with my guy JJ Moss in a bit. Uh and he also talked about it on the Moss Talk podcast. You guys go check it out and subscribe. It's just about how so much hate going in the world and how people can pass it down to their kids, right? So I'm going to the store and I'm like, all right, bet, I'm about to go get me some roll-ups and stuff. I go to the store and I'm like, boom, I'm grabbing the door. I'm literally like my both of my wheels is like inside on the other side of the store, right? And it's this kid who's just, man, he looked like he could be maybe 8, 9, maybe 10 or something like that. So as I'm coming into the store, just about all the way in, he's trying to come out. You feel me? He's trying to come out at the same time. And I'm like, really? I didn't say anything, but I'm still going in. And I'm like, why is this kid trying to come out the store at the same time I'm all the way in? You feel me? If I would have got in, I would have held the door for you, little man. Or the simple fact is, where your parents at to teach you, if somebody coming into the door, man, put your side or whatever. And it's not just about somebody being, in the wheelchair or whatever. It's just not just trying to barge your way out of the door that somebody opened and they halfway in. Like that don't make sense. So I'm in there maybe like 10, 15 seconds later. I'm guessing it's his brother, father, or whatever like that. But he a young ass nigga. He real young. So he like, yo, man, come on, man. You the dude in the wheelchair, man. You see the little boy trying to get in the store and shit like that, man. Why you gotta be disrespectful, man? You want somebody to respect you, and I'm like, huh? And I'm not even like because my mind is somewhere else. I'm trying to get back into the house to my son. You feel me? And we still chilling. So I'm just like, yeah, all right, my bad. You feel me? And I brush it off. You feel me? And I go to the store almost all the time. And the lady dark skinned lady who always in the joint, always help me and stuff. It was actually two ladies who was in there, but they was looking confused, like, what is going on? So they went outside, and I don't know what the lady said to the dude. So I get my stuff and everything. I go outside, and the dude just, my bad, man, my bad, man. It was a bunch of confusion and everything. Like, I'm like, yeah, because I was confused too, Holmes, and just left it as that. You feel me? Like if that was your son, like it don't matter who it was, a person standing up, able-bodied person in a wheelchair. You teach them to not barge out the door to be disrespectful, man. It all starts in the home, bro. Like it all starts in the home. Like that was a WTF moment. That was a WTF moment. It was really more so the dude came out and was like, yeah, my bad, man. I was completely understanding, man. Cause I'm like, bro, I got angels watching around me at all times, bro. And I'm like, hey yo, I ain't want to smoke, and neither did that person want to smoke. And we gonna keep it like that, man. For real. That was a WTF, man. I got it back inside. I told that baby, it's like, people is crazy. Yeah, man, people is literally crazy, yo, man. Another WTF moment, man, yo, really sad WTF moment, man, and it's really crazy, man, really, real, real. In Indonesia, yo, over 120 people was killed at a soccer game.
Some breaking news overnight out of Indonesia, where at least 174 people were killed during a riot and a stampede after a soccer game. NBC's Molly Hunter has details for us. Molly, what happened here?
Willie, good morning to you. Now, officials are saying it is one of the deadliest soccer incidents ever to happen in the world, really in history. So we are seeing those horrific scenes. The death toll this morning is climbing. What we know, Willie, is that it was a packed stadium in East Java, possibly over capacity, and the home team lost to their arch rivals for the first time in decades. Now, video shows crowds from the home side, Willie, rushing onto the field. Skirmishes then started, officials say. Fans were throwing bottles at the players, at soccer officials, and they started clashing with police. But then, Willie, it escalates. Riot police fire tear gas into the crowd. And what happens then is why we are seeing that huge death toll. It causes a massive stampede towards the main exit of the stadium. So all of a sudden, Willie, you have got 40,000 people all heading for the same exit. Now, tear gas is banned at stadiums by FIFA, and the organization's president this morning says the soccer world is in a state of shock. The death toll right now is at least 174 people. A lot of those people, Willie, were injured in the stampede, were suffocated, were trampled. We know at least 200 people have injuries, critical injuries, and they are still in the hospital. And we understand the soccer season in Indonesia has been paused while a full investigation takes place.
Sad, real, real, real sad. Prayers to all the families, man. Like, that was really, really sad. Like, it was a riot that broke out and everything. Sad, man. Prayers to all the families, man. For real. But you guys, man, we're gonna move on here on the podcast, man. That was a WTF moment, for real. Both of them WTF. Like, people need to, like, we all just need to learn to love each other, man. There's so much going on in the world, man. So much going on in the world, and we need to love each other. Yo, whew, man, yo, we're gonna keep it moving on here on the podcast. I'm having fun. I hope you guys having fun tuning in here on the 1130 podcast. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button down below. Yes, man. Let me know what you think about the show. We're moving forward. 3-year anniversary coming up. If there's some topics you want me to dive in, get into, holler at me, man. Leave a comment. Follow me on TikTok, man. I'm trying to do some new stuff on TikTok. And yeah, man, and all other social media platforms. And for all my wrestling fans, can't wait to talk my wrestling stuff later on today on Buzzing with Marlo. That's going to be awesome. But also, the 1130 podcast Talk Pro Wrestling returns October 14th. Man, I almost forgot the date. October 14th. So definitely vibe with me, get into top with that, catch up on previous episodes. And yeah, man, that's gonna be dope. That is gonna be dope, man. I'm not gonna waste no more time, keep rambling on, man. But I know you guys are here for it, and I'm here for you. Yo, my dope guest coming up next, right after the break. My guy JJ Moss, man, for real. Don't go nowhere. You're watching the 1130 podcast. You did.
Hateful, insane nation that ever existed.
Yo, we back here on the 11:30 podcast. Appreciate everyone sticking with me throughout the break, man. Like I've been saying throughout the show, dope guest that's gonna be joining me, man. I've been keeping up with my guy for some time, and now we making it happen this week here on the 11:30 podcast. Bringing in my guy JJ Moss. He's the entrepreneur, creator of the Moss Talk podcast, man. We're gonna be topping it up, having some fun. It's gonna be dope, man. We about to get into it. We ain't gonna waste no more time. JJ, what's going on with you, my guy?
Man, first and foremost, thank you for the introduction. And also, I want you to know that this is the first platform I've been on other than mine. So ever since I've been getting into media and doing everything with my platform, this is the very first platform I've been on outside of the other ones I do that I've created myself. So this is an honor. This is definitely a pleasure. And before we get into anything, man, I just want to let you know, thank you for the consistent support you've given me ever since we've crossed paths, and I meant that from the bottom of my heart, because the simple fact that you've always showed true love and support. And what's crazy is you and we haven't even physically met yet, and you show more support for me than people who I've known my whole life. And that's no shade towards anyone, but that's just the truth. And it's just crazy because you as far as how the internet works these days, we just don't know who we'll come cross paths with these days. Mm-hmm. And it's just an honor and a pleasure that I've had to build a relationship and a rapport with someone like yourself, man, because you're a very dope individual. When you did your docuseries and your documentary, and when I checked out the whole thing and just getting into your whole story, and just man, I was just it was very motivational. You definitely gave me that motivation I needed in order to keep pushing, because I definitely wanted to give up, man. So I just want to let you know it's a big honor and a pleasure to be on your platform, man. Thank you.
Yo, man, I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate those words, man. Yo, and I definitely know what you're talking about people showing support, and from places you really haven't you really haven't physically met them. They're on the other side of the world, but they support you more than some people that and I definitely can vibe with that. But also, man, I like I said, thank you for all of that, and no problem, man. I definitely have a circle, man. I was always told in the beginning, man, just build a circle, man, and just support each other, because when you starting up, especially black men, and with this is just something that either fell in some people's lap or something where some people always wanted to do, and it's just like we need that support and support one another. So no problem, man. You'll get my support 100%. I appreciate you for everything you doing, man. For real, with the Moss Talk podcast, you just passed your 3-year anniversary, right?
Yes, sir. 3 years, and what's crazy is, man, it was crazy because when I hit my 2-year anniversary, well, a lot of people don't know, I got hit with COVID last year, real bad. It was me and my 3 children, and my wife had to take care of all of us. And man, I ain't gonna even lie, it was a very frightening experience because I wasn't expecting it. I probably expected to get COVID, but it hit me to a point where I had to after I got over it, I had to start really following up as far as my health and things of that nature. And I couldn't even celebrate my 2-year anniversary because when I say I had all of the symptoms, I had all of them, man. And it was, I never prayed so much in my life. I don't know if your viewers and listeners, I don't know what their beliefs are, but much respect to anyone who believes in God or whatever they believe in religion wise. But man, I've never prayed so much in my life because it was like that was definitely a dark time for me. It was like the roughest 17 days of my life going through that. Oh, wow. And I want to thank my wife for taking care of me and our children, because she definitely held it down for us. But yes, I just hit 3 years going on the Moss Talk podcast, and actually I created my Anchor account back in 2018. A lot of people might not know, and because when I decided to get into podcasting, I was very skeptical. I was kind of scared because for some reason I've never been a fan of my voice. And what's crazy is I used to rap. So even being a rapper, I was not comfortable with my voice. And I know it sounds strange, but that's how I was. And everybody will always compliment me on it. But I always felt like I had an ugly voice. So I had created my Anchor account in March of 2018. And I did some rough drafts of a podcast because I had got to a point where I became a real big fan of podcasting. And I treated it just like the same way I did with music. So I studied, I studied people who I was listening to at the time, as far as Joe Budden and Drink Champs and people of that nature. And when I made the decision, my first episode dropped September 12th, 2019. And my first episode, it was talking about the 18th anniversary of 9/11. And I spoke about where I was at the time and, just spoke about that whole experience and just how the world came together and just how it affected the whole entire universe afterwards, man. So, but it's definitely been a journey. It's definitely been a journey, and a lot of people don't know because as you see it, just like I see it, podcast is like the number one thing that everybody's jumping into. It's like podcasting is like the new record label now. It's like you see another one, you see a 5 of them, new ones every single day, which is cool. So I ain't no hate in my blood. Everybody, hey, do what you do. Hey, so, but when I got into it, I took it very seriously because it was much harder than what I expected it to be. Because the thing is, a lot of people don't understand. You definitely have to have a niche for it because we live in an age where people are just in 50-minute episodes if I'm just starting out. So I had to kind of start off short. I couldn't start off, have an hour episode and people don't even know who I am. So I had to start off short, little 15-minute episodes talking about these topics and stuff like that. And then I treat it so seriously because me growing up, for those who don't know, I'm born and raised in Memphis. And growing up for me, I wouldn't say challenging, but it wasn't easy because, I grew up, I wasn't athletic. I'm 5'4", so I wasn't, the tallest. So I was, smart on the academic side, but it's just a simple fact that, I always wanted to be good at something. So that's why when I was younger in my teenage day, I took up skateboarding. I tried to do BMX and stuff like that because everyone who I was around, far as cousins and older siblings and even younger siblings, was good at something. But I always felt like I wasn't good at anything. And only thing I feel like I was only good at was rap. And when I approached rap at 13, I studied it. I studied the greats of Nas, Jay-Z, and other great lyricists. But I feel like where I really failed at as far as rapping, I procrastinated a lot. I definitely did that. And one of the things I preach to my kids and other individuals who I come across, man, do not let procrastination become your enemy because it will defeat you all the time. And when I thought about that as I got into my podcast journey, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to allow myself to procrastinate with the podcasting like I did with music because of course, anybody anybody can, rap and, be talented with it, but it's all about putting that work in and really putting that grind into it. So I keep telling myself, even when I get down and I feel like giving up, I always tell myself, like, man, don't let this slip away. I feel like this is my second chance to trying to do something in life. This is why my platform is so near and dear to me. Because, like I said, I feel like this is all I have. I wasn't good at anything, So it is just the fact that that's why I'm busting my butt to make sure, man, I'm getting my platform to where I need to be. And it's individuals like yourself and a guy by the name of Bring TV and Famous Animal and other people who motivate me to keep going, man, because I can't let this slip away. So even when I'm tired, working 14-hour shifts and, got to take care of the family, man, I just, I feel like if I can get this job 14 hours, I can get my platform at least 30 minutes to an hour. So,
hey, look at, man, you got it. You definitely got it. And you got all the support, man, for real. You started 3 months before me, man, and I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary in December. So I've been following you for some time, and You got some dope content, so keep definitely putting that out. You also said and talked about how you didn't like it. So what moment was it that you got comfortable with your voice and you was just like, okay, cool, I can get used to this? Because and also I want to touch on one thing too, like it's similar with me too, with the whole rap thing too. I started about age 13 or 14 with my brother, you know,
Mhm.
who got killed earlier this year, and you know he was a
Rest
part of
in
the
peace.
theme
Rest in
song, and
peace.
he was the yes, man, and he was the main reason that I got into this, and it was procrastination with the music with me too, and it was like I can do it, but it was like you know I take my time with it. I was like you know, but I always saw myself doing something like this more so being in front of the camera, such a host or something like that. But
Mhm.
it, hey, you gotta keep it, and I feel like this was more so a second chance of myself. Like I was telling my mother-in-law, like everything I kind of like ran into, I kind of like did it, and then I stopped for a while or it just fell off.
Mhm.
But this was something was just like connected, and I love it. And I was just telling to my fiance the other day. But yes, what point that you would just you got comfortable with your voice and you just let it go, you just took off with it.
I just, after the response I got from my first episode, and people was like, okay, all right, and I was like, I was scared. I never forget. I was scared as hell. I was when I released it, and I sent it to my wife first, and
Okay.
what I did was I sent it to my wife first, and she didn't even know. She's like, "When you start a podcast?" I was like, "I kind of made the page about a year ago, but I recorded my first episode." And my wife, she kind of she's not knowledgeable on podcasts, and so I had to kind of tell her. I said, "Well, it's kind of no different than talk radio. It's almost the same. It's same as talk radio." So when she heard it and she listened to it, and like I said, it was the first episode was about the anniversary of 9/11, and she liked it. She's like, "I like the fact that you broke down where you was in school and just how it made you feel, and how you feel like it kind of united the whole country at that time." And I also talked about, I wish that we could have that now. And of course, that's wishful thinking. But when my wife kind of gave me the okay, because I run stuff by her a lot, and then when I started getting response from like family members and also people who I kind of knew, and they was like, okay, I like this. So I was like, okay. And what I had to do is get used to my voice. So what I would do is play it over. I would play it over, and then as far as on Anchor, it lets you edit your audio. So I had to get used to my voice. I call it a voice insecurity. And so once I got done with the first episode and I got their response, and then one of my sisters called me. She was like, I just listened to your podcast. I'm like, what? And it was like, and then also what made me want to continue with, because just like you said, that procrastination, and then I kind of feel like I built the reputation within my family and within my circle as the person who picks up something and put it back down. And when I saw the response that I got, I feel like I didn't want to let me down, and I didn't want to let everyone else who really supports me down. Because one of the things I used to get bummed out was when I was rapping, I used to get mad because nobody supported me. But I had to realize, what are they going to support? I'm not in the studio. Actually, you know what? What's crazy, I had studio equipment. I never forget. I bought a bunch load of studio equipment in 2012 with my tax check, my tax return. And I let it sit there. I would record every now and then. I had the opportunity to record as much as I wanted to, and I let it sit there. But yet, before I got the studio equipment, I would sit there and just write. Man, I wish I could go to somebody's studio, because at the job I was working at, I couldn't afford studio time. And I sat there and bought studio equipment, and I let it go to waste. And then what ended up happening was, when I moved and the equipment got damaged, and I got mad. But then I had to realize, you ain't even barely using that equipment, so what you getting mad for? Like, you barely using it, now I'm upset because it's damaged now. And then after that, it got damaged, I wanted to record. So that just let me know that, don't play around with it. If you're going to do something, do it. I just like we were talking about, I feel like it was my second chance, and I didn't want to let myself down. I didn't want to let my family down. I didn't want to let my circle down. So that's why I try my best to stay consistent with my content and as far as my interviews or even just regular episodes, man. So, but once I got comfortable with it, I just kept it rolling, man. I just kept it rolling. I just had to, I had to find my niche, and I just had to find out, okay, what people like to listen to, what should I talk about, and of course, I kept up as far as the latest hip hop media, but I also I wanted to give people something that they can look forward to. So I also, during that time, my first year, I started this thing called unappreciation, and it was a segment where I would pick different artists and people and groups who I felt like were unappreciated in hip hop. My first episode was 8 Ball and MJG. My second episode was MC Hammer. My next episode was Master P, and I was trying to keep that going. But then once the interview started happening, I kind of push it to the side, which I'm in the process of trying to get that back popping. And but yeah, man, it's just that procrastination was like, I realized it now, that procrastination was something, it really held me back. I allowed it to hold me back, and I'm not gonna let that happen, man. So I might not have the best equipment to record with, but I'm gonna use what I have to make it happen. So make sure I do whatever to make this pop off for me, man. Love what I do. I love it, and now it's crazy because I work at a hospital. I'm a supervisor for the hospital's cafeteria, and it's crazy now when I wear my shirt, my podcast shirt, and people don't know it. Like, oh, you got a podcast? Let me check it out. And you hearing like a doctor or a nurse coming by. Hey, I heard your episode last night, pretty good. And I was like, wow, that would also give me hype also. And also I got an interview. I got a sit down coming with a doctor pretty soon, and talking about her experience having to deal with as far as patients who had COVID and just different things of that nature. So, but like I said, man, it's definitely been a very great journey for me, man. I made it, and so I get discouraged a bit sometimes too. But I think I got over it because I put pressure on myself, because I be like, man, I feel like I should be, at a certain spot. I feel like I should get a certain amount of views or a certain amount of subscribers. And then I had to realize, bro, it's not overnight. There's some people who've been doing this 9 years and just now popping off. Shout out to my guy Bring T. He's been doing this for 11, 12 years. He's just now getting the recognition he's getting now. And he's definitely well connected and well known throughout the southern region. And what I have to keep telling myself, like, man, Miles, you can't get like that. You got to just keep pushing. You got to keep pushing. Like, so
You got to.
I'm trying to get like
you got to.
I'm trying to get like you.
Hey man, I appreciate that, but yeah, you got to keep pushing, man. The success don't overnight. It don't come overnight, and people always want to just rush to the success and don't realize that it's hard work in between that, and the hard work, it's all about the journey. It is definitely all about the journey, man. So keep at it and keep your head up with it. I know what you're talking about getting discouraged, because I talked about that last week before I was coming back. I was like, man, will people want to still listen? Will people still subscribe? Do I even still know how to do this and all that? So once you just got your head and out of your way at times, man, I think everything will just come all together though. You mentioned you're a dad also too. I'm a new dad, and you said you got 3 kids?
Yeah, 3 kids.
Okay, you got 3. I got 1, so I can't even imagine 3 right now, though. But
Man.
how do you manage? How do you manage everything? Being the supervisor, at the cafeteria at the hospital, and being the host of the Moss Talk podcast, and also being a dad.
Man, I asked myself that question also, but it's all about being organized. And what's crazy is, being a husband, being a father, being a supervisor. Having 3 different podcasts at that, and it's like I said, I amaze myself sometimes. And I'm no Superman, I'm no superhero, I'm not Iron Man or nothing like that. But it's just like, damn, like I be tired. But I rather be tired from doing all this than just laying up, not doing anything, not being productive. At least I can say, well, I'm tired as hell, but at least I knocked out my hours today at work. You know what I'm saying? I spent time with my children. We had our game night. Me and the wife, we had our quality time together. I was able to knock out an episode with this podcast, and I got an interview with this podcast tomorrow. So it's all about being organized with it, man. Because one thing I don't want my family to do is feel neglected because I'm putting all my focus and stuff into this. So I make time for that. I definitely make sure I make time for it. But man, I want to know for you, man. Your first time dad, man. Let me know. I want to know your personal experience when you held your child for the very first time once he came into the world. What was that feeling like for you?
Man, the feeling was a bunch of nerves hitting me all at once. I was sweating, I was shaking, I was excited, I was just I was sad, but not like sad, but I was crying. It was just so many. I just could not believe it. So I mean, I held my niece and I held my nephew, but it was like, yo, this is yo,
This is
like you me, and you look just like me too. Like man, like it's wild, man. It's a bunch of different feelings, man. A bunch of different feelings. And I was just talking about earlier how when I first put the pamper on and I had it upside down, and I was like, gotta do this, gotta get this all right
you
though.
gotta
But
learn. You gotta learn.
you gotta learn.
You
You
gotta
gotta learn though, and also just like you said, being organized. And I was just talking to this with Bay, man, just putting stuff together, and also having time for her, and also spending time for my son. So and I tell her like even though I love what I do for with this and with the podcast, now is just not for me now. It's for him. So and I'm excited. I'm definitely excited to come every week, or so till I take another break or whatever, probably before the holidays, just to talk about him and the joyfulness that he brings, man. So
man.
that's definitely what it means, man.
I can just tell the excitement. Just talking about that experience, and you sound happy. Just talking about it, man. I can tell like that does something. It warms your heart. The fact that you and your lovely fiance have come together and created a life together that you guys can call your own, man. And you got another mini version of you who you can raise and teach him the things that you had to learn later to put this, instill that in him now. So man, and I always like when you was posting about it and stuff like that. That's why I kept always hitting you up. I said, man, I know you guys are gonna be dope parents. I know that. And I was like genuinely happy and proud for you guys, man. And when it finally happened, and because I know it was the process of her being pregnant, and then I think you guys posted it was the pictures of the baby shower.
Yeah, this is the baby shower. It was like
Yeah, and I was like,
it was
oh,
like
almost here.
yeah. And that's what did it though. That's what did it. When we had the baby shower, I guess she had ate too much though. And a couple of days later, it was like, "Yo, I'm coming. I'm coming now." Because we had he liked to play little pranks and stuff. And we was at the hospital, and she was dilating. It was like, "Oh, he may be coming today." And I'm making all types of phone calls and everything. And it was like, "Psych, nah, I ain't coming today." So he came, I think, that following week or whatever. So yeah, man, like. Love it, man. Love it. Love it. Love every bit of it, man. For real.
I'm just glad you
man.
enjoyed it.
Definitely, man. Definitely enjoying it though. Definitely enjoying it. But you guys, man, we're gonna keep it moving on here on the podcast, man. We're talking about just everything and rappers but we're gonna speak on with this new generation. What's going on with this new generation, and why are besides the rappers, just these young generation is just so eager to die though. Like no one had any passion or direction, going for them in life or so.
Man, when I tell you this, Drake, like I have that question also. I ask the same exact thing because you got kids so my kids are 12, 14, and 15. And you got kids that's their age who going out sad, who don't even want to live. And it's just can't even answer that question. It's like why are they so eager to die, man? Like y'all got y'all whole lives ahead of you, and it's just it's just yes, man. It's like I'm sitting there thinking like, damn, was I like that at their age? Like, no, I wasn't. Like at 15, 16, I had my first job. I was hanging out with the guys, and we was chasing girls, and I was in school, and going to the skating ring, and just kicking it and just hanging out. Like it's to a point. It was a good time, man.
It was a different time too. Also, then at that time, in life, we didn't have social media. You can go skating to the skating ring. You can go over, a party. You can do, so much though. But I think it's just with not only just social media, and I know I say that a lot, but it's just I think the young generation just have so much time on their hands and just not enough, not enough time put into something that they love doing or enjoy doing.
What's crazy is one thing I was like these young generation, and that's one thing I try not to do is bash them because the generation we came up in wasn't perfect. Only difference is we didn't have social media to expose ourselves to what we was doing. But one of the things is just these young kids have more opportunities and more advantages than we have to be way better than what we could have been back in the day. But it's like they're choosing, like they got the right to go right. They got the option to go right, but it's like they're choosing to go left. And it just, I don't get it. Like I said, I ask that question a lot. It's like, damn, why are y'all running to the grave? Like why? Like, man, you got so much life to live. It's just crazy, man. I just lost a nephew. And it just, I don't know. And then one thing I noticed is that a lot of these kids, and I hate to use that as an excuse, and a lot of these kids are products of what they're surrounded by. A lot of people call it product of your environment. And a lot of these kids, they look up to people that surround them. And one thing I pay attention to, I make sure, I watch what I do around my kids. Reason why, I'm saying now, I am 6 months sober because I had a really bad weed problem. So this coming week, I'll be 6 months sober. I have cold turkey because I got to a point where, I wanted to be a better example for me and my children. So it's just to the point where, we don't realize that how much our actions affect the younger people that's around us. It's just that we don't pay attention. Like, you don't know, just because they might not be saying anything, that don't mean they not watching you. And people want to blame, say, oh, this generation was disrespectful and but you got to think, look who they learned it from. I honestly always say they learned it from our generation, because when we was 14 and 15, they was little kids. They was watching us do a lot of stuff. And now that we're grown and they're in that same age bracket of 14 and 15, they're doing the exact same thing. It's just also they turning it up a notch. Yeah. And I just
gotta watch.
I want them to live, man. I want to see them live. I want to see them grow.
You're right. You got to watch what you do around your kids, man. Because, like you say, it all starts with the parent. It really all starts with the parent, though. And discipline and everything. Quick question. I probably was going to save it for a later episode, but I definitely want to hop back into it. Since you're a parent, though, I got to ask, though, because me and my fiance are having this debate, though. Okay, all right. What time is it too late for your kids to eat? What time? We're not talking about an infant. Let's say 4 years up, 5 years up, 5 years old and up. A scenario more so such as, okay, you say you have how old is your kids again?
12, 14, and 15.
Okay, we go with the 12-year-old. Okay, the 12-year-old, he's hungry, and he ate dinner, let's say 8 o'clock at night, but he's hungry, and he woke up in the middle of the night, and you know what? Dad, I want some snacks or whatever, though. What's your response?
what's crazy is if it depends. It depends on what time of the night. Time of the night it is. If it's like 10 something, most likely he's not gonna do that because he probably already knocked out sleep for bed because you got school in the morning. Now, if it's the weekend or something like that, they always come down and ask me and my wife, or they'll text us, hey, can I have this? Because they know that we don't allow them to just go in and out of the kitchen whenever they feel like it. Because last time we checked, we're the parents. We instill respect in our children, because a lot of people when they see our children, a lot of people are shocked because of the simple fact that they're so used to kids being disrespectful these days. It's more shocking to them to see respectful and kids with manners, because as my mom always taught me, how your kids behave in public says more about you as far as a parent. It says more like how you treat your kids and how you raise your kids at home.
You're so right about that. I asked that question because me and my fiance were sort of, having a little back and forth. It was a fun back and forth, and I said I can't wait to come back to the podcast to check on this.
What was the response from you and her? Like, what time did you feel like, and what time did she feel like?
Well, she felt like, okay, well, if he comes in the kitchen and he want whatever he want, then he can get whatever he want. And I was more so like, hold up, wait a minute, like, no, he can't though. He's not buying the groceries. We the parents, and also it's putting discipline and telling them no. We not just be like, no, you can't have nothing, no. But it's like it's 3:00, 3:30 in the morning, and you just want this just because you see it. No, go back to sleep. Not even you feel me? Yeah, like you just want it because you see it, and then you gotta have discipline, and and especially with boys though, And my fiance is more so, first time parents, man. First time parents, she more so like, look, he can have whatever he want. I'm like, yeah, he can have what he want, but at the same time, we gotta, set little things into place and stuff like that.
There's nothing wrong with saying yes, but you got to install some no's in there too. So therefore, your child don't think they can have whatever they like, because if you continue that, they're gonna grow up thinking, no matter what, it's gonna get to a point where they're gonna grow up thinking they can have whatever they want, to the point where they feel like they don't even have to ask anymore.
Yep. So right about that, man. So right about that. But you guys, man, we're gonna keep the podcast moving on, man. We're gonna returning segment here on the podcast. The inspirational quote of the week, man. Here on the podcast, try to keep everybody uplifted, also myself, and try to stay inspired, because there's always a lot in the world that could bring us down. Okay, quote of the week, you guys. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. And I'm just saying, you got to try something new. And I think people are also afraid of making mistakes also too. It's okay. As long as you fall, you got to get back up, man. And a lot of people afraid to maybe start their podcast, or maybe start their business or their YouTube channel, because they afraid, And I think once you get that out the way, and as long as you try, that's the only thing that matters, though.
A lot of people, they have their fear of failure, because a lot of people have this ego built up inside of them, because they're used to winning so much, and then they feel like, oh, if I try this and look like a failure to everyone else, they're worried about what everyone else is going to think. And I like that quote, because I made plenty of mistakes starting off the podcast and doing the YouTube channel, and I'm still making some minor mistakes now, but I'm much better than what I was when I started. So
yeah. And it's all about making. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. It's all about making.
It's all about making. It's all about making. I mean, it's not all about making mistakes though, but the mistakes are going to come. And I remember starting out like forgetting to hit record, or when you hit record, you forget to put your earphone cord in. So you're like, oh, what the hell? So I've been recording the whole time, and like, come on. So I know all about it, man. I know all about it.
I've done it. You asked me about the Jeffrey Dahmer docuseries, and give me your personal thoughts about it. What did you like?
My personal thought.
Yeah, what you talked about it? What you thought about it?
Well, when I thought about it, when I first saw the first episode, I was immediately hooked. Obviously, this story came out in the the early, well, it was going around the late 70s, early 90s, or whatever like that. So I was a little boy, so didn't really hear nothing about it. I'm a big like true crime, like mystery type of person, so I like kind of those shows on Netflix. But when I first put it on, I was just like, really, really, like, in hearing this is a true story, and he, you know, targeted majority of his victims were black, and how the police, and it was crazy though, like everybody who were Caucasian or other race, they never made it to the police, or to what to my knowledge, I believe the only two black people who went to the police and tried to tell the police, hey, yo, man, this guy is trying to kill me, or yo, this guy is drugging people and taking them home and XYZ. The police wasn't listening to him. Like, they were turning a blind eye, because at that time, homophobic, thing, like the LGBT, that wasn't popping back in the day. So,
Yeah, that wasn't such thing back then.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you come across that, not too many people wanted to be associated with that, and I think that's what a lot of cops were. And also the neighbor who stood, who stayed right next to him, who kept smelling the smell of the bodies and everything like that, and she completely told him many times. Though it was just, it was crazy, and the fact that he ate them, also
That's the part that got me. I got coworkers and nurses talking about it at work, and I was like, man, I gotta check this out, but I just haven't found the time to, man.
Yeah, man, when you do, I think you're gonna really enjoy it. My fiance not that type of. She don't like type of horror mystery. But once it was like maybe a couple episodes in, she was hooked to it. She was really hooked to it. And also, and the part that I think one scene, somebody been making some parodies on TikTok, and it was like, wow. But the part that the one that got me. The one that got me is the grandma. Like, I felt like that part was just so intense, because she just kept seeing all these people in her living room, and one night she decided to just let me stay with them. But no, it was wild. Like, that is a must watch on Netflix though. Definitely a must watch though. But what I was just asking though, talking about the inspirational quote, what keeps you inspired though?
And the reason why I said is because I've been working at the hospital for 6 years now. And what's crazy is what keeps me inspired, because I work in a hospital, and it's a place where life begins and life ends for a lot of people. Babies are being born, and also people taking their life. And what keeps me inspired is just, life period. And when I go in there, because I just make sure I'm thankful for every day I'm able to wake up, because I see it. It's been times where I'm coming into work and they got the coroner there rolling someone's body down the hallway. And also, we got this thing at the hospital when a new baby is born. They got this little rhythm thing that plays over the intercoms, and you're like, a new baby has been born. It'll tell you it's a boy or girl or not. So just life period keeps me inspired, even when things are not going so well for me. And I just have to really think that I've been in worse situations, and there are people who are in worse situations than I am. You got people who are sick. You got people who are dealing with something that that was very unexpected. And one thing I also I talk to a lot of people at work, far as, because they come down here, they come down to the cafeteria and get them something to eat, and I make sure I lend my ear out to them. I don't know why I'm like that, but I lend my ear out to them, and you just don't know what people are going through. And the fact that my mission is, and this is before I even became a supervisor, my mission has always been to soothe these individuals' soul with some good food. That's why I'm a very good cook as well, and I always make sure I just give them some good food. I know it's not going to take the pain away or take their minds off the person that they're here to see, but I always make sure I listen to their problems. I listen to their issues. I have people, cry to me because, they're telling me about their story and what they've been through and things of that nature, man. And it just, seeing that, it keeps me inspired, because, like, you know what? If this person right here is keeping it going with the situation they're going through, I can do it also. So life is definitely one of my biggest inspirations outside of my family.
Hey man, I dig that. I definitely dig that, man. I always ask that, and I continue to ask that to my guests, man. It's so much stuff in the world that we get distracted by, and that is so much hate going on, and we need to find something to uplift us and also stay inspired, whether it's your kids or whatever whatever it is, man. So I definitely dig that. Definitely dig that. But you guys, man, we're gonna move on here, you guys, to the final segment of the podcast, you guys. It's time for the 11:30 podcast hot seat, you guys. All right, all right, all right. All right, JJ, it's time for the hot seat. Doing little things different here on the podcast. Usually I put people in the hot seat. For the second week in a row, I guess I put myself back in the hot seat. So you have 3 questions, whatever questions. You have any questions you want to ask me? So I'm back in the hot seat. So
Okay, you know what?
yours.
What we're gonna do is gonna put each other in the hot seat. So I'm
Okay,
gonna go
oh
first.
yeah, look at it. I dig that. I dig that.
Okay. What is one of your biggest fears?
One of my biggest fears is being mistaken for someone else. I think that being mistaken for someone else or just look like someone else. I think because when I was young, and I just be riding down the street or whatever, and everybody be like, "Yo, what it do, man?" Like, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Or people who will approach me and they think I'm someone and be like, "Bro, you look just like this person," and I don't know if this person done anybody wrong or whatever the case may be. So I ain't trying to be mistaken for someone else though. A lot of people would say, trying different things. No, but my life, just me being in the wheelchair, I had to adapt to everything and always trying new stuff. So I think what the normal people probably fear would be won't be mine. I mean, obviously like snakes or whatever though, but definitely being mistaken for someone else though. That's one of mine though.
All right. If you had the opportunity to, what's one place you would like to visit? Any country or anything like that? If you had the opportunity to do so, what place that you've always wanted to visit?
Country also?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I would say maybe the UK, London, or the UK or so. Because it's so different. Obviously, I would love to travel to Africa, and, Canada, Mexico and stuff. But I think the UK, they seem a little different though. They seem like they just have a whole lot of fun up there. And I was talking with my guy last week about how he went to the UK and me being a wrestling fan, and every time they go to the UK, the shows they stand out more than the ones that's in the States. So the UK, London will probably be a choice.
I can second that, and I've never been there, but one thing I noticed is that like countries like the UK, they're more appreciative of things of that nature. That's the reason why a lot of rappers go overseas to tour, because they're more appreciative of the culture of wrestling culture, music culture than we are, because we're spoiled, so we're used to it. We're like spoiled brats.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we just like, okay, it'll always be here. They don't get to see that all the time out overseas in these other countries, so they're more appreciative of seeing a live wrestling show, seeing AEW and WWE and things of that nature come over to their country and invade, and you see artists touring over there for a long time, and it's a good thing. They appreciate it more than what we do, so I can understand it. So they definitely appreciate it more. So I feel like it definitely maybe more fun out there to be out there in the UK.
Okay. Cool.
Right.
Cool.
Last question. It's gonna be basically simple. Where does Dre see himself in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, the next 3 to 5 years or a year from now, I see me taking over, the podcast game, and just keep, not necessarily taking over, but just improving and doing better and taking the shows, the podcast to, different places. I always I got a goal that I like to, travel to different, cities to meet and interview certain podcasters, like to come to your town and meet, do a live podcast with some of my other buddies who,
Yes,
do the,
yes.
the podcast. So I thought that'd be really, really cool, man, because we always support each other. We in a bubble, so why not just, do something like that? And just in the 3 to 5 years, just being a awesome dad to my son, hopefully taking him to a WrestleMania or something like that, or just, just having fun with him, man, and just seeing, just watching them grow up, man, and just continue to grow mentally and just, physically and just everything. So that's definitely where I see myself at. I definitely see myself at. I appreciate
I
that. I
love that.
appreciate that. Putting me in the hot seat. All right, all right, all right. We're gonna put you in the hot seat, JJ. We got a couple
Go
of
ahead.
questions though. All
Go
right,
ahead.
all right, all right. You as a dad, what's one thing that you want to teach your teacher? You as a dad, what's one thing that you would like to teach your child, or something that you will always want them to remember you by?
There's a cup. Well, something my wife and I that we instill in them, that there's no cheat code when it comes to success in life. And
Mhm.
you know, these kids are exposed to a lot these days, way more than what we was exposed to. So they
Yeah.
see, they see that, a lot of people feel like it's a scheme to get rich quickly or have success very quickly. And we instill in them that, there's no cheat code. You can't skip the process of grinding, making the necessary sacrifices, and basically putting in that hard work in order to get what you want. Nothing is given to you. You have to earn it. No one is gonna give you success or whatever you're trying to get in life on a silver platter. No one is gonna knock at the door and say, "Here you go." They're not gonna do that. And what I want my children to remember me for is that I was a dad that was strict but fair, and also that a dad that they always had fun with.
Okay, okay. I can dig that. I can definitely dig that. Okay, if you had a warning label on you, what would it say?
A warning label. A warning label. That's a good one. That's a good one. Warning. 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 Talks too damn much. That's what probably be. That's what probably be is talk too damn much. And I don't know if it's because it be doing the podcast, but sometimes I gotta learn how to shut the hell up sometimes. So warning, runs at the mouth too much. Need to hush. Zip it sometimes.
Okay,
I'm just being
okay. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right. Let's see. If you could wake up tomorrow anywhere in the world, uh, where would you want to be, and what was the first thing you would do?
I would like to be in Hawaii. And the first thing I would want to do is roll over and keep my life going. I know I'm not trying to, segue from the question, but it's just the fact that my wife is definitely the reason why I am who I am today. When I met my wife, I was at a very difficult point in my life. And, I met my wife, I was 27, I'm 33 now. And, my wife, she helped me become a much better man than what I was. And I felt like at that age of 27, I was still a little boy. I was still, you know what I'm saying, wasn't trying to be a responsible man. I was always looking for like the cheap way out of just of life. And my wife helped me. She took a gamble on me. And when, her and I became an item, I took on the responsibility of, being a dad, being a provider all at once. And, she was patient with me because, she didn't have to. My wife is a beautiful and wonderful person. She could have had anybody else in the world that like my wife, she can have any dude she want, but she chose me. And I even ask myself at times, like, how the hell did I get you? Like, especially in, I know a lot of guys talk about like, there's no good women in the world, and a lot of women say there's no good men, but I still ask myself and question myself 7 years later. It's like, how did I get her? Did I lose a bet or something?
Hey.
Like, or did she lose a bet? Like, how did I get her, man? So that's what I do. I love to just wake up like in Hawaii somewhere with my kids. They be in the other room, and that first thing I do is just wake up and kiss my wife, tell her good morning, because like she means that much to me, and I love her.
Hey, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. Shout out to all the wives out there, man. For real, to stand down with their man, and for to the come up, man. Definitely
Man,
shout out to all the wives, and shout out to everyone, man. Good. What you about to say something?
I got a question. As far as on your
Okay.
previous episodes, have you spoken about the P&B Rock situation?
No, I haven't because I did not, fully get the whole full story, and until I heard who he actually was in song, because I didn't, there's so many music artists, especially the new
Yeah,
ones, I do not keep up with.
same,
But I
same,
was
same.
like, I heard someone say, "Oh, that's the person that sang that song," and I was like, "Oh, shucks, though." But I didn't, I just heard he got shot at the Waffle House, and that was it, though. I didn't
Okay,
heard too much.
okay. Before we end this, I wanted because it's more details coming about the situation. So,
Okay.
and I just want to say this because the people, how people started it off, they was blaming the girlfriend, saying, "Oh, because she dropped the location, they found out where he was and stuff like that." And it's a new detail just came out today that he was actually on probation via ankle monitor, so he wasn't even
Mm,
supposed to be out. So
mm,
once he left home, the authorities should have been alerted that he's leaving his home. And what I wanted to say is, and also it was actually it was an DJ Academics interview that he had did before he was murdered, and he spoke about not having security. He spoke about going to these different hoods and meeting up with these guys and things of that nature. And before we end this, I just want to say this, to everyone out there, especially the black brothers. I know that we don't have it easy in this country. We definitely don't, and we don't have it easy in anything. And I feel like if you have the opportunity to change everything in your family's life, if you have the opportunity to put your family in a better situation, what if it's in rap, what if it's in podcasting, some kind of form of entertainment, or any kind of career, if you have that opportunity to do so, situation, you're blessed to change the family curse. That you're blessed to provide your family with a much better way of living. And I just feel like a lot of our young men are jeopardizing and fumbling and playing with their bliss. You're blessed. Please realize that you are blessed to give your kids whatever they want and give your family a lifestyle that others, what I'm saying, envy and they're jealous of. And if you're
mhm.
blessed enough to have that, don't be out here fumbling your blessing. Don't be out here mobbing around with no security. Don't be out here, associating yourself with people that that's not supposed to be in your circle. And I'm not speaking ill on the dead. I promise I'm not. Because, of course, that man is not here to defend himself and his family is still grieving. But I just want that message to go out to everyone who's, trying to pursue a career as far as entrepreneur and whatever like that. Which don't play with your blessing. Don't play with your
Mhm.
blessing
Hey,
because we
I
losing too
dig
many.
that.
We losing too many of our black brothers as is, and so if you have to take all precaution to protect yourself, do what you have to, but don't play around with your blessing, man. For real.
Hey, hey, I like that, man. That's how you do it, JJ Moss. I appreciate you coming through here on the 1130 podcast, man, for real. And like you said, man, stop bubbling your blessings, man, for real. You everybody got a gift, man, and you utilize it and be the best you, man, for real. Before
Yeah.
you go, any shout outs, any questions, anything you would like to say?
Um. I just want to thank you. I just want
I
to
appreciate it.
thank you because, like I said, you did not have to do this. Like you have been patient with me, and I thank you for that. I thank you for that. I enjoyed this sit down. It's like I said, you're the very first platform I've been on outside of mine. out of the other ones I actually do for, I'm a part of. So, this feels great. This feels magnificent. And I just want to, give a shout out to you, man. And I'm a forever supporter of yours. Anything that you need, no matter what, man, I thank you, man. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And just shout out to all the creators out there, all the podcasters, man, everyone who doing their thing. There's no hate over here. It's enough money out here for all of us. It's enough for everyone to get out here and be successful, man. Also, for those who want to check me out, the Moss Talk Podcast on YouTube, on Apple, Spotify. Follow me on Instagram, JJ Moss 901, and follow me on Facebook, JJ Moss, JJMOSS, and I appreciate you, man. Like you'll forever be a friend of mine, and that's for life.
Hey man, same here. I appreciate you a lot, man. One of the goals is, man, to always reach out to other Black entrepreneurs, man. Like I said, I'm coming up on my 3-year. You just passed yours. Keep killing it. Can't wait till the 4-year anniversary. So it's just about, people in your circle, man. Just support them. That's all it's about, man. Because when you have something, when you have a dream, and when you have a goal, all it takes is someone who to support it, or someone who could just help just a little bit. And hey, that's all I'm trying to help you, man. And just stay inspired and just keep doing your thing, man. For real. Once again, JJ, man, I appreciate you coming through here on the podcast. Everyone, go subscribe to the JJ Moss Talk Podcast, to the Moss Talk Podcast. Let me get it right. To the Moss Talk Podcast right now, wherever you get your podcast is at. Tell them Dreonwheels sent you. And for real, JJ, thank you again once again coming.
Yes, and also subscribe to the Moss Network on YouTube. The Moss Network, yes, sir.
Bulletproof vest to kind of show you, like, we made it through all of that. Now we're here, right. So I'm just very particular, bro, about like messages and like how people perceive the show. So that's kind of what
sound like you
he's very creative. That's a very, very creative process, because you don't really hear about that unless you go to some of these big time shows. You don't hear about people doing, like, getting real creative with the music while they on stage performing. Most of what we think, motherfucker be on there getting hype and hop, shit like that. You actually giving them like a vision with the music.
Yeah, it got to be an experience, bro.
Yo, JJ Moss, man, I appreciate you so much for coming through here on the 1130 podcast this week, man. It was a dope show, dope time vibing with you, man. You got to get on more podcasts. I can't wait to have you back here, man. You've been doing your thing for about 3 years now. This was the first one. Look at, man, I always try to shine a light on other entrepreneurs, other people who's doing podcasting, doing whatever they doing, man, because that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about, that major support. I know what you're talking about, it 100%, man. Where you can have people all across the world, all across the country who support your podcasts, and, close people here that may not, some may not do the same. So I definitely know what you're saying, man, because support is big major. Yeah, pick up to you. Everyone, go check out the Moss Talk Podcast, man. Go subscribe, go listen, catch up on previous episodes. Shout out to Tennessee, man. Yo, dope vibe for you coming on. We was talking a little bit about that Jeffrey Dahmer. Hey, yo, man, I ain't gonna say too much about that one no more. You guys gotta go check that one out, man. They was talking about that for like 2 days in a row on TMZ when that came on. I was like, hey, yo, this joint is big, man. This joint is big. And when the dude ran out the joint and then they brought him back and then he kept, I was like, oh, come on, though. But yeah, discipline, man. Discipline with your kids. Yo, great talk we done had with my guy JJ Moss, man. If you like the episode, whatever you want to hear us talk about on a future episode, or you want to hear me talk about next week, leave a comment down below. Yes, man, leave a comment down below. Like this video. And once again, if you haven't done so, this entire episode, this is a good one, man, for real. I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that subscribe button down below, for real. I'm about to head on out of here, you guys, but before I do, you know what time it is. You guys, don't forget to follow the 1130 podcast on all social media platforms. Follow me on Twitter at the 1130 Podcast. Like the 1130 Podcast on Facebook. Follow the 1130 Podcast on Instagram at the 1130 Podcast _ and follow me, you guys, on TikTok at the 1130 Podcast. You'll like to be a guest here on the podcast, that's email me at the 1130 Podcast at gmail.com, or just DM me so we can work, man. I definitely love vibing, sharing some inspiration, just having some fun here on the podcast, man. That was dope. Me and JJ, we both was in the hot seat. I don't think I did that when both of us was in the hot seat. That was cool. Shout out to JJ once again, man. For real. This was dope. Man, story time with Dreonwheels will continue, guys, next week here on the podcast. Man, big stories, man. Big stories. But and JJ, like I was saying, man, like you gotta have some discipline, man. They can't just go on the refrigerator at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking they can just get what they want, man. For real. The kids just really want it because they just see it though. But all right, you guys, man. If you guys feel some type of way about that one too, comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time here on YouTube and here on the 1130 Podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Yo, man, it's your man Dre, aka Dreonwheels, and I'm out.